Ninjago has had a multitude of different theories over its 15-year run, and there are most definitely many more to come. A lot of these theories end up being true, a lot of them end up becoming unanswered and in this grey area, and some of them definitely age poorly based on future reference. But that's fine, that's good, it's amazing. It shows how Ninjago could go in many different directions just based on singular pieces of either background or just actual dialogue or actions in the main stage as well. I think it is amazing how much you can take from this show, hence why I love theories so much. But what I do think is even more interesting is the concept of going back to these theories and looking back at them with the modern eye, and kind of having a laugh, because at the end of the day, when hindsight is in play, you do realise the holes that were present. So I ended up asking you guys, what did you believe was the most poorly aged theory in retrospect? Just what do we now know that made those ideas just look stupid? And I had loads of suggestions, and I had so much fun going down memory lane when it did come to them. But for today's video, I have selected 6 different theories that most definitely did age poorly, and I want to go through them, go through what caused those theories, and just look at them today. So let's have some fun, and let me not waste any more of your time. But I will also say, put down in the comments down below what your favourite poorly aged theory is. But yeah, let's get into them. The first one we are going to be taking a look at today is going to be coming from 5TC. Hello my friend. And the poorly aged theory that you have pointed out is that there was an idea that Lloyd was secretly Wu's son. And definitely when you take a look at it with everything in mind, you realise how poorly aged this theory actually was. This mainly stems from the fact that during the course of Ninjago, Lloyd is blonde. However, we know that young Garmadon and young Masako were both brown haired. But Joe, who also had blonde hair? That is correct. Wu. This was the genuine main piece of evidence that suggested that there was something more there. Of course, also taking into consideration the fact that there was a lot of feelings between those 3 of them, but at the end of the day, people mainly was stemming it off of those design similarities. And I find it extremely hilarious to think that this was something that we truly did take a look at the time. In retrospect, this is just purely down to recessive and dominant genes, but I don't think a biology lesson is in need today. All we know is that if Wu has blonde hair and he's the brother of Garmadon, then Garmadon clearly possesses the gene to have blonde hair as well. It is honestly that straight to the point. So it definitely was a lot of people, me to an extent included when I was much younger, just looking way too far into something that is quite silly when you look at it now. And honestly, I wouldn't change it for the world. The dynamic between Garmadon and Lloyd is one of the best we've ever seen in Ninjago. And also, just look at young Garmadon. He's a spitting image of Lloyd, even though it's just basically asset reuse. But still, they look the same. But thank you very much 5TC, this was definitely a fun one to remember. Our second one is going to be coming from SSJ2 Gohan 351. Hello my friend, and sorry if I mispronounced it. This is common practice on the Weavy channel. But your one is that Ash was having a connection to the Overlords. And honestly, this is one of my favourite poorly aged theories we've ever had. This theory was so popular when Tournament of Elements actually came out. This stemmed from the fact that by this point in time, we had 2 seasons in a row where the Overlord did play a factor. And when the Tournament of Elements did come along, we saw Ash that had the same symbol that the Overlord did have beforehand. So people saw it as this idea that the Overlord was returning in some capacity, was returning through Ash, or he was a disciple or an acolyte of the Overlord. We truly really didn't know, but there was a definitive case of the exact same symbol on his chest. In reality, the real answer was that it was just purely asset reuse. A load of the Elemental Masters reuse assets from old ninja and old villain pieces. You can see it honestly almost everywhere. It is riddled with it. But the thing is that this one little specific detail and the fact that it was so prominent on the character design really did send people on a turn. It made a lot of people wonder if there was really something more to it. But again, in the end, there was nothing. All we got from Ash was a couple laughs that was done by the amazing Brent Miller. So, at the end of the day, nothing to do with him. Sorry guys, but thank you very much Gohan. I love this one so much, like I said. The third one for today is going to be coming from Ninja JYT. Hello my friend. And your one is a very old one, being that the purple ninja was going to be Garmadon. This is stemming all the way back to 2012. I really wanted to talk about this one. This theory stemmed from 2012 when the show actually ended. Before Rebooted was actually announced, there was a load of Ninjago fans speculating on what Ninjago could have been post season 2. A lot of people were just coming up with their own theories and their own concepts based on what we knew. And one of the big ones was that Garmadon could actually become a ninja, or a purple ninja to go along with his colours that we have seen before. This went as far as a video being posted to YouTube and becoming very popular of a render of Garmadon being the purple ninja. It was a purple version of the kimono outfit in the style of the intro of Ninjago. This is an infamous video in old Ninjago terms. If you were around back in the day, you definitely did see this video. Again, in the end, this was made by a fan. This was just simply done because why not, as far as I'm aware, and it didn't really go anywhere. Garmadon became a master in his own right, and that was about it. But there are a lot of people who really did want this idea. There are a lot of people who want him to become a ninja and fight alongside the Green Ninja, but it never happened, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But it is fun to think about, and definitely does remind me of the olden days of the show. But thank you very much Ninja J, this was good. Our fourth one is going to be coming from Mego Lego Animation. Hello my friend, and your one is a fairly recent one, but still definitely poorly aged. That one being the Ice Emperor comeback was going to be meaningful within Crystallized. And I'm definitely reopening a big wound for a lot of people, honestly to an extent me included. This one did come from the era where we were actually getting leaks in regards to what Crystallized was going to be. One of the main things that we were getting at the time was an episode list, and of course one of those episodes was called The Return of the Ice Emperor. Now this is something that a lot of people were definitely wondering about. This was one that caught a lot of people's eyes because we hadn't seen the Ice Emperor by that point since the Ice chapter, but more specifically it was the evil counterpart of Zane. So people were wondering how this was actually going to have a factor. Was the Overlord going to corrupt Zane and he was going to turn into the Ice Emperor? Was he going to be reprogrammed? Was the Scrolls of Forbidden Jitsu coming back? There were so many questions that came along with this idea. So many questions that made people wonder if we were going to get something more. But in the end, Crystallized happened. Zane was on the fritz, he fell apart, he had a fake out, and a part of that was him becoming the Ice Emperor as a joke. It went absolutely nowhere, it did nothing worthwhile, and completely ruined the character of Zane. I really hate this decision. It was one of the worst decisions we've ever seen in Ninjago, and I kind of want to make a video about it one day. Let me know if you want to see it. But regardless, it became something that just never happened, and people were very disappointed, and people wondered what could have been. Imagine if the Ice Emperor was on the Crystal Council. That would have been really cool, but it just didn't come to be. So yeah, instead, we get a Zane fake out. Thanks for reminding us, Mego Lego, but it was a really good one. Thank you very much, my friend. The fifth one is going to be coming from longtime viewer and channel friend Bernard Grubber-Z2P. Hello, my friend. And yours is actually what's based around the thumbnail. Jay joins the Forbidden 5 in Season 3 and becomes the Forbidden 6. Definitely one of the newer ones, but definitely one of the most poorly aged ones. It really wasn't good. This poorly aged theory came from around the build-up of Season 3 of Dragon's Rising. We had the reveal of the sets themselves, and we got a first look at what Rogue was actually looking like. We also got to see the poster that showed Rogue on the side of the Forbidden 5, so it was a case of a lot of people starting to associate Jay with that side of the spectrum. But, of course, with that came theorizing, and one of the big ones was just the fact that due down to some design elements and his alignment elements that we had so far, it seemed to be that he did actually have some sort of forming when it did come to the Forbidden Five. This was basically it. There was no other real suggestion as to how it could have been, but people were honestly convinced that Jay could have been a part of the Forbidden Five. An extension of this is that people thought Moro was also going to be a part of this, and his one mainly stemmed from the fact that his weapon used the same Lego piece as the hilt as the Forbidden Five. People were definitely thinking that they were going to be more intertwined, but in the end, Jay was rogue and he was doing his own thing and had no association with them whatsoever. I'm very happy this was the case, and honestly, I don't think it would have been a good idea to expand the Forbidden Five, because we barely got enough time with them as is. But yeah, I understand why people understood it, and I understand why people could have wanted this to happen, but it definitely just wasn't for me. But thank you very much, Bernard. This is a good one. But the sixth and the last one for today is going to be coming from Parachuting Kitten herself. Hello PK, check out the quiz video if you haven't already. She was amazing to have on. But her one is that Pixel was the administrator. Just a combination of two things that we thought were going to be very relevant to Dragon's Rising's plot. And it turns out, not one, but both of them was pretty much not mattering at all. Yeah, I know this one definitely hurt you, PK, and it does for me as well. Like you said, this basically does just stem from the fact that this was a character and a plot point that was completely unanswered by this point in time. So, also combining the two was making sense. The administration is a bureaucracy that is built off of logic and papers and reasoning and all sorts of codes and manufacturing. Very much in line with what we know about Pixel and the things that she does as well. So, it did make a lot of sense, and it was something that was fairly interesting to think about. But in the end, she was in a cocoon exactly like Zane, and she was just there for a bit, and now she barely even has a speaking role. Honestly, a massive disappointment to this very day. In the end, like I said, that's what happened with Pixel, and the administrator is not going to be answered in Dragon's Rising. I personally have my theories around it, and if you haven't seen it, I would recommend you do so, and I still do stand by that theory, but as it stands, it is two things that have gone their own separate ways, and again, like you said, it both pretty much don't matter whatsoever. So thank you, PK. I know this one hurt to type out. I'm very sorry. But those 6 are the poorly aged theories that I wanted to talk about today, and I want to know, did you believe any of these? Did you not believe any of these from the beginning? I would love to know where you stood on all of these at the time or now, because I do find them fascinating. And of course, what is your opinion on the most poorly aged Ninjago theory? What is a theory you think back on and you go, I cannot believe people actually thought that? I would love to know, because I find these fascinating, and this was definitely a good time. So yeah, let me know, and obviously, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people. And if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that you see on screen. Each of your support means the absolute world to me, and I truly cannot thank you enough. But like I said, that's about it for today, and take care. Okay,